Hi there, welcome to the Animal Intuitive channel, where we give animals a voice through animal communication, natural pet care, like things like acupressure and massage, and other forms of animal wellness. And we also support pet parents in a variety of ways. And tonight, I'm so excited to have back our special guest. These are pioneers in the fields of animal acupressure. They are from Tallgrass Animal Acupressure Resources, Amy Snow and Nancy Zadonis. Welcome, Amy and Nancy.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi there.
Hello. I also just wanted to mention that I know of people who watch the show a lot, or were watching it quite a bit. I haven't been here in a little bit, and it's just because I've had a lot of plate spinning, and I don't like to do shows unless there's a good reason to do them. I don't want to just come on here and, waste your time. So I am back. I don't know how frequently I'm going to be on in the next month, but we are here for this wonderful show. And we have some people here in the comments. Katie Cat, hello, thank you for being here, and anyone else who's here. We so appreciate you being here this evening. We have a wonderful show planned with acupressure. But first, I'm just going to give Amy and Nancy a moment just to tell us a little bit about Tallgrass Animal Acupressure Resources. Oh, and they have frozen up. Oh, there you guys are. I see you. Oh, no, you're there. Hold on one second.
Yeah, we're frozen.
You're kind of doing like this fast-forward-y thing. What is going on? Let me go over here and just switch scenes and see if that helps. No, you're in my box. Maybe, come back in and let's just see if that helps. And meanwhile, I'll kind of tell everyone a little bit about Tallgrass and acupressure.
Okay.
Yeah, come back through. I'm not sure what's going on there. So sometimes we have these weird little technical difficulties, and this is an interesting one. I've never seen this one happen before. Looks like an 80s video. Tallgrass has been here before. If you checked out any of our other acupressure videos, they are wonderful. They are a wealth of knowledge. Let me see if this works. Oh no, we have you double doing this weird thing. Wait a minute. Take that one away. Oh, I think you're good now. I think we're good. Yeah. All is well. But now you can't hear me? I can see you fine.
Can hear you.
You can hear me?
Uh-huh.
We can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I think it's when we have you twice.
Okay, it's a little good.
Let me add you here.
Hitting the reconnect button.
Now you're good. You're good.
Okay.
I think you're good.
Oh, great. That's good to know.
Good deal.
We look a little fuzzy on our end, but that's fine.
Yeah,
Maybe
knock on
that's
wood.
who we are.
No, you look pretty clear to me. And we're not doing this weird shaky thing anymore, so that's good.
Okay.
Okay, so I was just letting everyone know that Tallgrass, I think I was just about to say, Tallgrass is the school that I went to for acupressure. I continue to do classes there. I actually went out to Colorado this summer and got to see Amy and Nancy in person. That's one of the plates I'm spinning. I'm trying to just kind of incorporate things. So anyway, let's hear a little bit about Tallgrass and acupressure for animals.
Well, thank you. And it was really nice to see you this summer. And it's kind of a nice lead-in, too, because I'm going to talk about what's going on now, and then I'll do a little bit of history. But for this moment, we have two new instructors for Tallgrass, and they're both human acupuncturists, and they also have animal practices as well. And that's Lori Perez. She'll be taking over the lead instructing of all of the equine classes. And Amalia Reeves, who's out in California, will be the head of the small animal acupressure, which will give us more time to do lots of things. But what we're really going to spend time on is revamping the programs on the onlines and making them even better, more up to date, and more fun, smaller programs that we'll be working on as well. But as you know, Tallgrass has been around now for over 25 years. And we have had the good fortune to spend lots of time with lots of wonderful people learning acupressure, and it's just so exciting. So thank you for another opportunity to talk about acupressure and to have us interact with your audience too. Thank you.
Absolutely. We do, by the way, just for those of you who are interested in looking into the resources with the school, there is a link in the description. Go there after the show if you want to click through. You get there is a discount available too, so check that out. So, okay, so today's show is we're really doing an interesting one because we're going to be talking about grief and how to help with grief, but for our pets, right? So, animals who have lost a loved one. So, without further ado, so this is something you can do at home with your pets, and we do have Q&A too. So if you have questions or comments, please feel free to jump in and ask. I don't know what that was. Okay. All right.
Well, talking about grief, when they do grieve, it usually is because their world is their family, their other pets in the house, whether it's a cat or another dog or a horse even. And so that's their pack, that's their family. And when a pet parent dies, they get very insecure, and usually we're going to talk about what kinds of things will be happening when the pet parent leaves. Even in a divorce situation, the sense of loss, the animal does feel that. And of course, we've just had that experience. We lost our Tilly dog and have noticed how our dogs have changed their behavior quite a bit. So it's been an interesting experience recently.
Okay.
Next.
Okay.
I can't.
Hey, Mel Mac, thank you for being here. And yes, please give us a like if this is in any way helpful to you. We do appreciate that. It does help the show.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Remember that the dog's world is a very small place. They may go around the block for a walk or to the dog park or to play, certain trails in your area. But their world is a very small place, and you're a very big part of it. So when you leave or another animal leaves, it really changes their world. They're very bonded to you. The bonding is very just the way we're bonded to them. When we lose them, it's pretty tough. We've had that experience recently too. And that sense of loss is huge. So whatever you're feeling, the animal is feeling that as well. And actually, in what we talk about in Chinese medicine about grieving, is it affects the lung. And, when you're grieving, try to take a deep breath. You literally cannot take a deep breath. Well, neither can the dog. So they're going to either be sometimes whimpering or whining, or there's some of their vocalization often has changed. And when you're grieving, you can't take a deep breath because literally your lung tissue thickens. So your sense of restriction in your breathing is probably what grieving is really about. You have to cleanse that, and very often that means tears, and very often that means crying and moving that through. And dogs are somewhat better than we are at that, thank goodness. What we've seen, for instance, with the loss of Tilly, our other dog, little terrier named Hugo, he's now sleeping under the bed. He used to sleep in his own bed. Well, now he sleeps under the bed. He's also become a little more timid, would you say?
He's become a little more timid, and he's become slightly more clingy to us as well. he came to us from Mexico and he was on the street. So when we first got him, he's still very outgoing, but he was more independent. And I think that sense of loss, because we see with Tilly leaving out, he knew her for 2.5 years, almost 3, but he is sort of now getting back on his own and being able to experience his world in a safer space. And he's taking care of himself as well as the acupressure assistance that we've been able to give him.
Yeah, I've also seen in our little dachshund, his name is Cooper, and our little dachshund, little mini guy, he's looking back over his shoulders. We go for a walk, and we're missing a member of, and he was the bigger of the dogs. He's constantly going, oh my goodness, and he's holding back, and he looks back, and he seems more fearful, actually, than he was prior to Tilly's departure.
Yeah.
So the other things it might look like is when dogs are grieving is lethargy. They just seem tireder. They seem kind of depressed. Some dogs actually lose their appetite, which is, they go and they're moping around and they don't want to eat and they have to be encouraged more. So that's part of the behaviors that you'll probably see.
Okay. For those of you who are listening to this on the podcast, the cat just jumped right in front of my face and I did not see it coming. It scared me. That was Giovanna. She likes attention. Okay. Okay.
That's kind of, there you go. Other things that change, we talked about a little bit, vocal patterns. In other words, a little more, some dogs get more barky, some get less. Some cats start meowing more and seem more dependent. And that increase that Nancy mentioned with Hugo, the increased neediness, sleeping more, and actual, what we experience as depression, they do too. So it's some of the same behaviors that you're going to see that you would assume are human behaviors. You can see them in the dogs and the cats.
Okay.
Next. Reading about dogs and grieving, they talk about the fact that you should try not to share your experience of grief. You have to do some, because that's where you are, your experience, but the dog doesn't need to take it all on. That's part of the issue. Yes, offering lots of comfort, distracting with more walks.
Maybe some play dates with neighbor dogs. I think Hugo got, 3 new toys because we were really working with him. And that actually really did seem to help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, chewy toys, bones, antlers, whatever you feel is, something that your dog will enjoy. The chewy toys of some sort. So do everything you can to keep them moving, motivated, connected to you, to them, to the other animals in the family. Those are all the things that you can do to help them along. So reinforce positive behaviors. So when they're depression, you might want to even revert to some training so that you can offer reinforced good behavior. So sit, stay, come, whatever training you do with your animal, high fives. And so you can have lots of positive reinforcement for them to help them move through. Some behaviors say, think about not replacing another pet too fast. In our situation, since we had 3 dogs, having 2 is easier to walk and live with. So it's been better for us to only have the two boys. That's nice. If the reaction and the loss, and you're not able to work the animal out at all, they going to the vet is not a bad idea. Have things checked out. We had a situation with one dog when we lost our the golden retriever, the golden that's there. His name was Oak. She got very depressed after Oak died, and actually left not too long after, as it happened. So it's worth going to the vet and checking their health out and seeing how that might help them move through it. I don't know if it was absolutely related. I don't know for sure, but it seemed somewhat related.
It can't hurt.
Help work with, so lung, large intestine, so that anything having to do with breathing, congestion, sinuses, very important. Even after the loss, you might see excess nose discharges, a little more coughing. And of course, the vocalization is considered part of the lung, and that's sighing or whimpering. And then when you have large intestine, one dog might go one way with constipation, and another dog might go the other way with diarrhea. And that's part of the low appetite as well. That figures in there. They just don't want to eat. They don't feel good. They don't feel right. So that's part of it. And then, of course, the low energy has a lot to do with lung, because they need lots of respiration to maintain energy. And of course, if they're not eating or having some digestive issues, loss of weight.
And the emotion of the metal element, and lung in particular, is that of grief. So that's why we're concentrating on the metal element. And it's absolutely amazing when you work the association points that you will often find that point to be reactive or tender.
Nancy, would you mind explaining what the association points are? Expanding a little on that.
The association points are points that are along a meridian called the Bladder Meridian, and the lung one is right above the lungs. So you can it's directly connected to the lungs. So when you touch those, you can either feel coldness, you can feel, especially when it's congestion, or it can be if it's over anxiety, you're going to feel, with breathing, the animals over breathing, you might feel heat. So the association points are related directly to an organ system. In this case, Nancy was referring to the lung.
Thank you.
So next slide. So once you do tracing the bladder meridian that we talked about, which is along just about 1.5 to 2 inches off the midline of the spine, and you're going to be tracing that with the heel of your hand, sort of softly. It doesn't have to be hard, but you're just going to trace the meridian. We're going to show you a slide next, but not quite yet. That shows you where the bladder meridian is. And then there's a series of classical points, Chinese medicine classical points, that we're going to show you where they are. And if you would like to have an image of them all, you can simply write to us or go on our website and ask for it. But the Anshin point is specifically behind the ear, and it has to do with the spirit, because the word spirit is Shen, and so it's sort of the opening to the spirit. The Bahwei point, it's spelled funny, but it's the Bahwei point, and it is on the sacrum of the dog. Yin Tang is a wonderful point. Used it a lot with an Irish setter that I used to have, that my daughter used to show. And it's right like the third eye. It's just right above between the eyes. And then there's the Shanzhen point.
At the base of the nose, where the hair meets the nose.
So let's go look at those points.
Did I skip one? No, there we are. Okay.
So we'll start with the bladder meridian. Yeah, that's it, the bladder meridian. We're going to start with that. You can see how the line is off, away from the spinous processes along the spine. So if you're tracing the bladder meridian, you don't have to start at the inner canthus of the eye, which is where it does start. You can start on the neck and then just flow your hand down over the back, over the sacrum, down the back toward the back of the leg to the last toe, the outside of the last toe on the dog, last digit. So if you do that just nice, gently, both sides, 3 times, just gently, you're getting the dog used to intentional touch. You're getting the dog used to the feeling that you're not just petting, but you're doing something that you're intending. And dogs pick up on that. They know they're amazing. They know a lot. So as you can see, it's just a very nice, smooth, about 1.5 inches to 2 inches off the midline, off the spine, with a flat part of your hand.
And the pressure that you'll want to exert is really fairly light. This is just a nice, almost flowing over the meridian.
So that's called tracing the meridian. Basically, you're gliding over the meridian. Go slowly. The more slowly you go, frankly, the dog will probably be more responsive and start to relax with it. The other thing you can do while you're doing that is try to synchronize your breathing with the dog. So this is a good bonding technique as well, by the way, and building some trust is just doing this nice and gently tracing, gliding, whatever you want to call it, over the dog's back and down to the last digit. So now let's look at the first point. Now there's a beautiful dog.
Needless to say, this is Tilly.
Yes, this was Tilly. And that's the An-Shen point, right behind the ear. You don't just have to hold that point. I would suggest scratching with your 2 fingers like this. Yeah. And just holding that point up and back, up and back, up and back. Most dogs love it. Notice that when they scratch themselves, they often scratch behind their ear. That's a good place for it. So that's called the An-Shen, and it is the opening, not exactly the word gate, but the opening gate to the spirit. And dogs love it. So that's the An-Shen point. And the next one is, one of the best points ever.
This is such a great point. Again, as Amy said, it's called the Botway point. And if you take 2 fingers and just go down the dorsal midline, and then when you're going right at the lumbosacral joint, you'll feel it's a little, not quite spongy, but it's softer there. And that is where the Botway point is. And it's the master point for the whole hindquarters. It's also a very calming and restorative point. It's just really wonderful. And I'd suggest you could use either direct pressure with your thumb or 2 fingers, or as Amy just indicated with the previous point, just scratch right in that area. And when you're doing any kind of point work, start gently, and then you'll kind of feel like they'll either push into you. You can increase the pressure. If you're using direct pressure, you can, if they start to let go at that point, you can go in a little more deeply, but always start gently and then gauge what you're going to do on their reaction and their response.
Yeah, I had a dog named Shayna who literally, if I was sitting watching TV or doing something, and not exactly, she'd come over and flip my arm so that I would scratch her Bachway point. And at that point, I had no idea. This was years and years ago, over 30 years ago. I had no idea what that point was, but she loved it, and I knew it. And then she'd start dancing. Her little bottom would start rocking back and forth. So it was a big chest. She wasn't little. She was a big Chesapeake Bay Retriever. But boy, she loved that point. And so ever since then, I know every dog I've ever met, that's known as the feel good point. That's what we call it. I don't know if that's a technical term, but that's what we call it.
Now it is.
It could be, yes. So it really...
Oh, I just lost the volume. Hold on one second. Wait.
Dogs and cats, by the way.
Wait. I can't hear you. Wait. Hold on.
Okay.
Can everyone hear me?
You didn't...
We can
Could you
hear
guys let me know in the
Yes.
chat if you can hear us? You can hear me. Well, that's weird. I just lost you guys. I think this might be a setting on my computer. Hold on one second. I don't know what just happened. It wasn't on the show, I don't think, right? It was my computer just decided to mute itself. But I think I can hear you, right? Can I hear you guys, Amy and Nancy? Speak.
Yours now?
You hear them, Melmac. Okay. Well, that's interesting because I can't hear them. Well, this is interesting, isn't it? Maybe my headphones. Hold on.
If people can hear us, we can keep going. Someone in the chat
Okay,
tell us whether they can hear
This
us.
is so strange. Everybody can hear everybody, but I can't hear our guests. So this is interesting.
Okay, so the Bachway point, feel good point. And
Hold
we
on, bear with us
somehow-
1 second.
You can hear us?
Oh, there you are. Oh,
There we
Yay,
are.
good.
It's good to have you back.
okay. This is the
These
strangest
things
thing. Yeah, it's just like fighting me. I don't know what's going on. I'm just gonna hold my finger on this button here, and
Okay.
it keeps trying to go back down. But I'm just gonna hold it and do that because that's working. Okay.
Okay, let's just take,
Yeah.
here we go. The yin tongue point. Do you want to talk about that? Okay, the yin tongue point. My story about that is we did have this Irish setter. My daughter was a junior handler with AKC. She was in training. And every time this dog got it all upset between the grooming area to the show ring area for the Irish setters, they're supposed to have their tails nicely fanned out, and you can brush it as much as you like, but if she got upset between those two places, she would tuck her tail. So we'd be outside the ring waiting for her turn, and I started rubbing right between her eyes like this, just like that, because she seemed worried. Lo and behold, her tail came up, and my daughter could take her into the ring, and her tail would look beautiful. So that was my experience with the yin tong point. And all that it is that it helps the dog focus and help them maybe take another focus. But it's all part of the same. If you do all these points in a series, then this one, the first one, the Anshin, is opening the spirit. Okay. The next one is to feel good. Ahwei. And the yin tang is to help them focus on themselves, on you, on the new world that they're presented with, that is missing their favorite buddy or another human person who's passed. So this will help them hopefully be part of the moving on. So these three in particular are very good for, I can't read that. What
That's
is it?
my Joe's favorite spot.
Oh, that's your Joe's favorite spot. Good, good. So it works. It just definitely works. I even had a boss who probably had no idea he was doing that. When he was focusing, he would do that. When he was working on a plan, he'd rub there. So that's a really, really good classical point. So let's move to the next one because it has to do with appetite.
Look at that
Aha.
face.
That's awesome.
Kitty face.
So I wish we could make that slide a little bigger. I'll have to
do that.
improve
Let me
that.
see if I
So-
could.
On their noses, right where the skin of the nose and the hair come together on the dorsal midline. Oh, that's so great.
Oh,
Thank you for
you did
doing
a great
that.
job.
Excellent. Now
Thank you.
Now we can really see it well.
Good.
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 So it's a great point to work to help with kind of bringing the animal back to wanting to take care of its body, and one of the best ways to do that is through eating and increasing appetite. So if you know, we rarely have that issue.
Our
But-
dogs eat.
Yeah. One time we had Beanie came from Mexico and she wouldn't eat anything, and we started rubbing that point because we read about it. And at the same time, we gave her salmon and skins of fish and mackerel, and over just like that she
Wow.
changed. So it's a combination. I don't know what was due to what, but it really made a big difference for her. And gentle pressure, that's not so easy to rub. I just like to hold my hand there, and maybe you could also move your hand to your other finger to the yin tang point, and either just hold gentle pressure or do some light rubbing. But it's a super point. And again, it's a classical acupressure point.
Yeah, there are a series of acupressure points that are classical specifically for animals. And there's a whole series of them, but they're very specific. They have an energetic, a function, a role that they play. And the series that we've just shown you are those, and they just help the animal reconnect also within their body. Part of the tracing of the meridian in the first place is that reconnection. I'm not doing that. So we can go on to the next slide. I think we're coming to the end of the slideshow. We can shrink that back down. Good job. You're good at that. Okay, Tallgrass, of course, has both online courses that help you study, and then when you come to the hands-on, you learn how to apply the theories that you learn online. So, Nancy mentioned that we have 2 highly qualified instructors who are going to be starting to teach. There's an equine program starting October 21 and 22 in Colorado. And then there will, starting in the spring, in February, there'll be canine small animal courses in California starting up. And then there'll be probably in other parts of the country as well. But stay tuned. We're back teaching, and it's going to be very exciting to get back to doing what we do well and love. So next slide, I think is, yeah. But as we are Tallgrass Animal Acupressure Resources, here they are. Here are the books. They're the basic texts for animal acupressure. They're used by veterinarians, techs, people, anybody who is studying. They're frankly very good, excellent books for you to have. And then, of course, there are lots of charts, different types. We have all these charts of canine, feline, equine, all 3 charts, but there are different types of charts. So if you want to talk about more about the different charts.
Well, one of probably the 2 books that aren't shown here that are very valuable are the landmark anatomy and acupoint energetics books for dogs and cats, just for dogs, and then for equine. And not only do they show the basic anatomy of the animal, but how those landmark anatomy pieces are used to locate points, as well as then the specific energetics and functions of each of the points. So it's really, really helpful in one, locating, and then two, choosing the best point for the issue that your animal has at the time. Those are valuable as well.
These were where. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just going to say that I have fond memories of all these, like attaining all these. I will warn you, these become addictive. You start to collect them and you can't stop, but you will be happy that you did. And so will your pets. They're really high quality stuff. Excuse me.
Okay, are there any questions specifically? Because we're happy to.
Yeah. Okay, now I seem to have volume again. That was interesting. Yeah, any questions that people have about using these points, or your animal who may be going through grief, or how to support your pet? It doesn't necessarily have to be specifically about grieving. If there's something related or anything in here that just interests you. I know sometimes people will ask me after you have been on, I'll see questions about, can the points be used with animals like, rabbits or whatever pets people have that we didn't necessarily talk about.
I'm sorry, you broke up?
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Oh, I'm breaking up? Am I still breaking up? Still breaking up?
No, you're better now.
We heard, can the points be used?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll see people, after you've been on, asking about using the points with, say, a rabbit.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, that can be done. I've worked on parrots, flamingos, brown bucking broncos, goats, cattle. Amy?
Ferrets, minks, in California in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, someone brought a rabbit one time here in Colorado. Mm-hmm. Well, when we were in Colorado. Just need to know the number of ribs. So we need to have at least some level of anatomy to be able to transpose the points to the specific animal. So we're still, you still have to do some guessing, but it's not that hard. And a lot has to do with, your intention, to be honest. If you're intending it to be a specific lung point, that's what I was going to bring up, is that when the animal is grieving, there are specific lung points that you can be using that relate to supporting the lungs specifically, that has, such as the source point for the lung 9. And we didn't include them here because it's part of learning a little more about acupressure, such as locating lung 9 on the animal.
Okay. Any other questions?
So any other questions?
Okay. And also, a lot of these points too, I know officially you're talking about animals, but they can be nice to use for ourselves too, and we want to help ourselves too, support ourselves through grief and things like that. And but some of the history you said, maybe just let people know how far back this goes. Actually, to me, it's really interesting, just the history of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's hard to know exactly. Actually, acupressure massage, also known as Toina, goes back even further than it was used by tribes all over the vast country of China, probably before they started using so-called needles. They use very sharp rocks called beyond something. Beyond stones that we add the word. But they were pointed. But acupressure massage, we also teach a toy knot class, which is exactly that. It's acupressure massage. And it has to do with they're more hands-on techniques, basically. There's something called dredging, where you actually move along the meridian itself to open up the energy in the meridian. And because your goal is to balance. The main purpose of anything is to get the yin-yang balance so that your body is functioning harmoniously and all the vital substances in your body are doing what they're supposed to. You've got body fluids, you've got your spirit, and this is what we've been talking a lot about today, is because the spirit definitely affects how your body functions. It's a very strong connection. Think about the fact that if you wanted to take an exam, how do you feel? Your stomach does scrunch. And so we think about grief is one of the emotions. As Nancy said, that one's related to the lung. Fear, for instance, is related to the kidney adrenal glands. We know what that is, the fight or flight reaction with animals. So there's a lot to it. And once you start learning, it does become addictive. I think I started in 1976.
Wow.
That's a long time ago. And Nancy's been studying for ages as well. We went to Chinese medicine school so that we could work with animals more effectively and efficiently, which is what we try to present to everybody.
Yeah.
And now that we have the two new instructors who are Chinese medicine acupressurists, it's going to be exciting because they have some depth of information that they're going to add to everything that we've been doing as well.
Mm-hmm. Very great. That's great. Great to hear that they're coming on. And it'll just make it even better. We didn't think it could get better, but that is great that you have them coming on board. So we are very lucky. I just want to mention how lucky we are to have Amy and Nancy here doing this, for us today, this special class, mini class for us. There's a lot, just even in this class, you'll find that if you use these points, a lot of times you think, well, how much can that really do? And then like what they're talking about, sometimes you'll just see the shift happen in an animal that you just really, you can't believe it until you try it and see it. So, have a little faith, give it a shot. If anything, it's really, to me, it's just a really bonding thing and our pets just really appreciate it for us to take that time. They feel it, that we're slowing down and, getting away from all the distractions and really just getting centered and being still with them. And it helps us too. In this crazy world that we live in, I find that sometimes doing acupressure for my animals helps me more than them because it makes me just kind of come to center. And so it's a wonderful thing we can do for our pets. So thank you so much, Amy and Nancy. I am so grateful for you being here. I'm sure, please, anyone who's watching this, if you share this, we do appreciate it because there's people who, didn't realize this was on tonight. We try to put the word out, but, not everyone gets that. So please let people know about it. If you know people who have lost an animal recently or just have animals that could use a little TLC, share this with them. And, please do. We do appreciate that, and subscribe because we will have upcoming shows, and check out the playlist. I do have an acupressure playlist and massage playlist, and we have some episodes prior to this where Amy and Nancy have been here and they've done other topics. So check those out for sure. And again, that link is in the description that I mentioned for Tallgrass, and there's a discount there too. So you can start your addiction. All right. Thank you
very much for having us, Anne.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Stick around with me, Amy and Nancy, for 1 second afterwards. And everyone take care and God bless. from a